Hey friends, welcome back to BIMvoice. My name is Petru, and today I have the pleasure to talk to Dan Vlasceanu, who is a BIM coordinator at PORR Romania. Now, before I give him the chance to introduce himself, I will tell you the reason behind this interview. A few weeks ago, I presented at BIMCon, a BIM conference in Romania, and I had the chance to meet him there. He had a very interesting and actually amazing presentation, which made me very interesting to find out more on this. And this is the reason behind that. I want to actually talk a bit about BIM in Romania, because nobody sees anything happening interesting in Romania, right? But actually, interesting things are happening there. And they are one case where I see this. And I would like to share that with you as well. Hi, Dan. Welcome.
Hey, Petru, thank you very much for having me, and thank you for the amazing review of my presentation.
No, really, I really enjoyed it. It was very, very interesting, and I learned a lot from that, and I'm very happy to see that things are developing in that way in Romania. Now, let's go straight to the point. Tell us a few words about yourself. Who are you, and how did you end up doing what you are doing today?
Okay, this is an interesting question, and it's not just or something, but basically, I'm just a guy from Romania. I finished, my base job is that of a surveyor, a geodesy engineer. I finished college here in Bucharest, the UTCB, the University Technical Construction College. Geodesy specialty, and then what I did after college, I started actually working. So at first, from the very, very low end of the surveyor lifestyle, let's say, so I was actually holding the prism. But to be completely honest with you, this helped. This actually go on site and to start from scratch, from zero, to actually understand the process of construction. This is before BIM and so on and so forth. Afterwards, I've been on multiple sites, also buildings, also structures within Romania and also in other countries like Moldova. I gradually got promoted. So from the prism to the total station to the GPS. And then all my life, I've been good at computers, let's say, and playing games on computers, so on and so forth. In my first year of college, at the end of the first year, we had a practice thing for 3 weeks. And I told my colleagues that if you guys leave me alone, do not come outside and measure for 3 days, I will do the calculations for the whole group. So I've always been attracted, let's say, to the software part of it. As I was working as a surveyor, I found more and more that the machines on site are be used not with traditional methods, with sticks and things on site, but with 3D models. I would say that I've been creating 3D models for machine control that's being used on site for like 7 years now. More or less, this is my beginning with 3D modeling, and I would call this a use case of BIM.
Was this in PORR, or did you work in another company before that?
This was another company, a big surveying company here in Romania. We also had the PORR. Actually, at the last team building, not the one this year, but before the pandemic, I survey coordinator at the airport here in Romania, Gimbaf Brașov. And the main contractor was PORR.
Oh, so, nice.
Yeah, basically that's where I met my current boss, the Costel, the department. They were there with their team building stuff and creating 3D models and actually creating the airport. And they asked us, the surveying company, if we have a drone. But I had some friends who had the drone and managed to get the drone to create a 3D model of the airport for PORR. So more or less, yeah, I met my boss and we created a 3D model of the airport using photogrammetry. And then I went to present to PORR at the HQ here in Bucharest. I did this 2 times. And the last time, more or less, I asked them, look, guys, don't you want to hire me or something? I'm trying to be as honest as I can.
Yeah, that's fair enough. No issue with that.
Yeah, as I said, and I was hired at PORR Innovation Department here in Bucharest as a surveyor. When I joined PORR, the main focus on the innovation department was to use BIM in infrastructure projects, because you know BIM for building is much more developed and standard for infrastructures. I'm completely aware that you know that even the IFC format is not defined currently for infrastructure projects. I'm currently testing out the IFC 4X3 importer for Autodesk and getting some interesting results, but not very well defined. So that's why us in Romania, in the innovation department, we were focused mainly on infrastructure projects. To go even specific, we had one, before I got to PORR, a huge motorway contract here in Romania. Motorways, by the way, in Romania are a very taboo subject, as I assume you know.
Yeah,
are they being built? Aren't they being built? I will show you at one point that they are actually being built. Anyway, it was a big motorway project, and we focused one sector. It was divided on sectors. We said, this is the innovation sector. And then for that part, 2 kilometers of the motorway, we wanted to use only our own machines and only technologies. So what did we do? We created the 3D models on every layer of the motorway specific sector and put it into the machine. Okay, this is, in my opinion, not something new. As I said, I've been doing this for a few years. But normally how the workflow goes, the surveyor office do everything. Nobody on the rest of the site have actually no idea what's happening. This is unfortunately the reality. And then they go with the USB stick in the 3D model, and yeah, that's it. But there are some certain problems, in my opinion, with this workflow. What happens if the design changes? What happens if the design changes and you have 100 machines on site? Do you go out physically with the USB stick to every machine to change the design? How do you know that that machine has the correct design, that one doesn't? It gets a bit complicated. That's why, yes, we use machine control, but we use machine control in more focused and BIM and collaborative approach. So what we would do, then mounted on the machines, and we would create the 3D models in Bucharest and then upload them to the platform. What happened? The machines being also connected to the internet, they would receive automatically the designs from the platform.
Which platform are you talking about? Sorry, I did not get that one.
I forgot to say this, sorry. Most of our systems on the machine, Trimble systems. So, of course, also the platforms that we are to feed the machines are Trimble. So in this case, the platform's name was Trimble Work. So we were feeding all of the designs there, and then it was transmitted automatically to the machines. Then, yeah, of course, you would reduce errors. I mean, actually, you could see it's clean because you reduce the actual fuel that is needed for cars to go physically on the site to put the USB stick. So there are a lot of advantages, but the biggest advantage we found with this was time. So time equals money. We are a capitalist society, Petru. We all know this. There is a bottom line, and we here are trying to find out what systems help how to have a better bottom line. This is, in my opinion, the end goal here.
Yeah, that makes sense. You save time, you save money. You say you do that, you can build quicker, maybe, or it should be also better quality project because you have better overview if you are using more advanced tools, and then you can win more projects. And yeah, it's also much more sustainable, right? Like you said, you skip many drives to the site and all these things. But you said something interesting, which I would like to find out more. How do you manage the design changes? Because I assume you don't get the design finished before every bit of the project or every project you are working with, right? I guess sometimes you get design while you are building something. How do you deal with these kind of situations?
Just a little bit of context for the people not in Romania. So currently there are no BIM in Romania. There's nothing. There are some talks about it within the government, so on and so forth, but concretely nothing. How it works basically on an infrastructure projects. We get the design, the 2D design from our designers that we contract. The beneficiary of the project, which is more or less the Romanian government, is not involved. I mean, not a little bit involved, not at all involved currently, because most likely this will happen in a few years when the EU will come with legislation and that will change. So what we are doing now, we are trying to stay ahead of the curve. And what we are doing currently, we start with the initial 2D design from the designers. We take that and recreate it in 3D. And yeah, we design changes along the way when we find a problem on site, so on and so forth. And we get another 2D project and we need to adapt that in 3D.
So you also have a design team inside PORR Romania?
We have a design. Yes, we have. Every site has its own technical department, which is its own team, let's say. But how it works for the major projects, they are not designed themselves. We are subcontracting, and our design team is actually checking the design.
Okay, I understand.
This is the current goal. We have another site that here, and things will go a little bit differently there, exactly because we are on this topic. I think the biggest, and the biggest achievement I've been able to do in the 4 years that I'm at PORR, another huge motorway project here in Romania, Sibiu Pitești Lot 4, and I was able to convince my colleagues and everybody, the leadership and all my colleagues, to ask the designers to provide the 3D models. So directly from the designers. The idea would be that we do not need to create ourselves the 3D models. And I could actually, because my job is a BIM coordinator, but mostly I've been coordinating myself and what some of my colleagues are doing. But now, because of this, because we can write in the contract with the subcontractors that they need to provide the 3D models, I'm thinking that things will change a little bit. But it's still quite the unknown, because this has never been attempted here before. So I'll let you know the following years how this.
Yeah, sure. That's good. When did the change from being a surveyor to becoming an official BIM coordinator in your company happen? When that change happened?
Okay, that's an interesting question. And yeah, so as I said, I was hired as not a normal surveyor, the guy who goes with the GPS on site. I was there to more or less prepare the 3D models, but it depends now. When you are talking about 3D model, we were creating for the machine control the surfaces, the triangle being put in the machine. A 3D model can also be a physical thing, like a bridge or something. So it depends. At the start, I've been creating the surfaces for the machines. And then we had a lot of workshops, external workshops within PORR for these specific projects. A lot of people came from Austria, from Germany, from France, from everywhere around Europe. And I started getting to the workflows. To be completely honest with you, I think the first year I was at PORR, so I was going at home, and then I was going at work, and then at home, after I got home, 3-4 hours, mostly every night, I would go on Autodesk University in 2010 and watch all the videos regarding BIM to better understand what's happening.
I like that.
Yeah, it was, I've always been inclined to new stuff and new technologies. This is just the way I am as a human being, let's say. To tell you something about the BIM coordinator role in our department. Currently, we are 2 BIM coordinators. It's me and my colleague Irina. And more or less...
Oh, so you are 2. Wait, I thought it was only you. Okay, so you are double than I knew.
There are two BIM coordinators in writing, let's say. So me and Diri had to write our own, post. There was no notion of a BIM coordinator in Romania. So more or less, we did the work of a BIM coordinator for a year. And then we wrote down what we did, and that became an official job. It
makes sense. No, but what I like about that is that the organization was flexible enough to accept this and to understand the value of this. So that says a lot to me, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I also agree. We were very lucky with the organization and how the department itself is set up. I mean, I'll thank every possibility I have. I'll thank my boss Costel, because he allows us a certain kind of freedom, which I've never found in a different job. When working in a domain like this, BIM, innovations, digitalization within the construction industry, I mean, who likes to push every button to see what it does. And fortunately, the job I have allows me to do it. I'm very much into testing new stuff. Some of them work, some of them just how the world works. So yeah, I've been very lucky, let's say, that I've been given this freedom.
Yeah, that's very important. It's very difficult to make progress, significant progress, without that kind of mindset. So it's good to see that you have this kind of leadership that understands this. So yeah, I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Petru. And a small parenthesis here. What's happening in the PORR group as a whole global entity. So yeah, PORR is based in Austria. It's an Austrian construction company, but we activate in like 8 countries worldwide, including Romania, of course. And within the different countries, there are a lot of BIM actors or what. But as I said earlier, we all know that buildings, it's much more advanced and well documented than BIM for. So what we are doing here in PORR Romania, we are focusing on infrastructure projects and really experimenting and creating our own workflows. The idea is we create these pilot projects here in Romania and then transfer the knowledge within the whole PORR group to be also used in other countries. And we are very lucky in Romania because it is Romania. Actually do need new motorways and new railways. You know this. The infrastructure in Romania, unfortunately, is quite sad. And it's, to be honest, I think to do it here with new projects. Because in Austria, I mean, why would they build a new motorway? They have them already. They only do rehabilitation or they widen them or something. So we are lucky in the sense. So I think why Romania was the most suited country to do this because of the political. Yeah, the Romanian situation, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the lack of rules sometimes can be also a blessing in disguise, right? Because you can create your own rules, which is what I see in your case and what I saw in other cases as well, as for Leviathan and other companies. So I like that. That's good, because there are other systems which are much more conservative and where you actually are stopped to do these kind of things. Like in Romania, because sometimes it feels that it's like a jungle, then you can just go and do whatever you want. Like, is the best way to do business? Go about it and do it, right? That's actually the good part of it, right? And let's rewrite and reinvent this construction industry, right? By making it with smarter ways of working.
As I said, we're lucky to do this in Romania. I mean, I don't know what would happen how they will see me as insane or something. But yeah, it's been very helpful. Yeah, it's not making up everything as we go. Of course, after we do a pilot project, we then see what worked, what didn't work. And then on the next project, we will only use and try to use different technologies or stuff for the things that didn't work. I can give you a concrete example. The pilot project, the 2-kilometer part sector of the motorway. So as I said, it was focused on machine control and also on productivity monitoring, which is what? So the machines would actually provide the volumes of cut and fill that they executed. So from themselves, they had sensors on them, and they would feed this back to another platform. And you could filter and see excavator 1 did 3,000 cubic in day Y, X, whatever. We tried to do it like this, found some complications with the systems. I will be completely honest now. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If you allow this to get the volumes directly from the machine, the site needs to be very well organized. Excavators need to stay in one place and dig. And yes, if that happens, you are getting the correct values. But if something from the site comes to the machine operator and says, look, can you go 1 kilometer there and clean up some trees or something like that? Of course, the operator doesn't shut down the system. So he goes there and it registers as false data.
Oh, yeah.
We had this problem. This is an actual thing we found out with these systems. So how would you go about this? Of course, you could go and do military on site and stay on site with the guys on the machines and press the button for them. Stop work, stop work. I see a future where the operators themselves in a few years, but I'm not sure how it works in other countries, but I do not think that Romania and the mentality in Romania is currently suited for this. So we saw this and we pivoted. Okay, we can't get the volumes like this. Why not use drones? And now we are doing for our major projects every month, at the end of the month, we are flying every project in the volumes that way. So this is, I think, a very important thing and a very important, attribute to coordinator or BIM manager or BIM specialist. The idea is you need to adapt. It is the notion of the self-construction. I have never seen and probably won't see in my whole life a construction site that isn't perfect from start to end. It's reality. You need to adapt.
As long as you won't have robots which will be programmed to execute each step along the way. Until then, as long as we are involved in the process, then not. Of course, it can be improved, but something is going to go differently than you expected. And the life itself is, you need to adjust yourself, right? It's not like you just know how your life is going to be, right? This is what it makes it interesting, right? But it is about the discipline and the effort you put into it that it makes you a great life or a average life, right? And the same with the projects. Like, what is the vision for them? How much resources are you willing to put? And how disciplined are you on that to execute that vision, right? And of course, like BIM roles, all of them, there are a lot of things that vary there as well and that you can improve always on any aspect. But as a coordinator, you don't know how your day will look. Like I used to have this issue at work. I like to plan my day, I get to work early, usually the first at the office. I was writing down a list with the most important things that I need to do that day, right? Mm-hmm. And then when everyone started to get to work and I start to get calls and emails and everything goes completely different, right? But still, what I was doing, because I was getting earlier at work, I was getting things done before everyone got in. So mm-hmm. I always focused on the most important ones, and that way it still helped me a lot. But let's go back to you. So good part that leadership is on board with this. You mentioned the drone use in this case in time, because you said how important time. Do you get any grasp, any idea about how much time are you saving instead of the old way you were doing it?
I can give you a concrete example on the drone stuff. We have a railway site here in Romania that's 13 or 14 long. And what's happening on the site, they had piles of different materials on site. All over the site for the whole length of 13 kilometers. So let's say hundreds of such piles of materials. And they had to give a report, the surveyors had to give a report at the end of the week. How much materials do we, at the end of the month, how much material do we have on site to know what we can use, what other, so on and so forth. This would have taken, in a classical workflow, it would take for the surveyors, multiple teams to go on site and measure this. This would take something 3 days. And then the processing and the calculation of all of these volumes, another 2 days. So 1 week. Now what we are doing, we are going at the end of the month with the drone. We are flying the site. It takes 2 hours, the flight. We are getting in the office. We are putting the processing of the data overnight. The next day in the morning, I upload it to a platform online, and surveyors or the quantity guys on site can go in the platform and calculate the volumes. It's just clicking in the platform, and then you get the stockpiles. So what would have taken can be easily achieved in 1.5 days, to give you a concrete example.
You save at least 3 days, let's say, in this case.
Yes, but in the case of one site, multiply this by 4 sites or 5 sites.
Yeah, and persons, because you said that in the first, in the classical way of doing things, there were more people involved in, right?
More teams, exactly, more teams. My plan going forward, currently we are doing drone flights on the major projects, but I would like to see, this is something years in the making, this is something utopic in my opinion, is to actually have all the sites. So to have the drones on site and to get maybe not monthly, but weekly flights, to have better control.
Yeah, completely. That sounds like a very, very good plan, actually. And you need to get to crush down the numbers, right? Like, we are saving so much money. Why not just have a drone there, right? They're like, this should be easy to demonstrate and to make an investment of it for the company. So yeah, that sounds good.
As I said, Petru, this is more or less my job, lab like this.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned that in the future, you would like to have these drones on site and so on. What are other future plans that you think are important, that you and your company will focus on?
There are a lot of stuff we are doing for the future. As I said, the drone stuff is very important. The drones is that we are doing flights for our, not only on the sites we have, but also the ones for tendering. So we are getting 3D models on our own surveys, not on the feasibility survey, and we are getting more real quantities. This is also something that we are doing and looking forward to doing more in the future, because we were using photogrammetry, but also now we have on drones, LiDAR, handheld LiDAR on cars. So this would be something regarding drones. Regarding BIM itself and the CDE, I would like to have much, much more involvement from the people on site. My opinion is every major project, not only in PORR and not only in Romania, but in every big infrastructure project within the world, needs to have at least one BIM specialist on site. Because it's one thing for me from the HQ to say, you need to do that, la. But when you actually get a guy on site, he tells you what the problems are for real. And I love that. I mean, this is the future. If I go and impose to a site, look, guys, you are starting today, you are using BIM. They will say, what I'm talking. Are you okay? Then what's happening? But if you have people on site, specialists, they go to the people, to the technical people that actually constructing the project. And he's asking them, what do you need? Does that help? Does that help? Yeah, we found that this is the best way to go about it, to have a specialist on site. And for the future, I want to have on most of our sites, at least somebody like this.
Okay, that sounds like a very sound plan. And I can confirm to you that that's actually the way to go about, since companies in Norway are actually doing this already. So you are not going wrong about this.
Okay, it's good to verify that my instinct is okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Dan. It was a real pleasure to talk to you. And
thank you very much.
We will continue our talk into a new episode when you will actually show me how did you use BIM and drones and other technologies, innovative technologies on your project.
Sure. It will be my pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me. And I'm looking very forward to as I said in the beginning, I'm the guy who likes to push the buttons. So yeah, you will be seeing a lot of buttons in the next episode. Thank you very much.
Amazing. I forgot to ask you, how can somebody reach out to you if they want to send you a message or something?
If they want to send me a message,
What about LinkedIn?
I think it's the best way. Whoever wants, they can reach me on LinkedIn and we can discuss the subject further.
Amazing, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you also, Petru.